Donald Trump practically has trouble leaking out of him at this point. It's more obvious than ever that he's in serious cognitive and physical decline, mostly because he keeps drawing attention to it himself. Every time he tries to hide how rapidly he's deteriorating, the attempt blows up in his face. Now he's practically leaning into it, showing everyone day after day that his mind just isn't functioning the way it used to. This time, he proved it by forgetting that he's president. Forgetting nearly everything in a full-on meltdown that sent him into a panic. And being Donald Trump, his insecurity led him right back to doing what he always does, attacking a female reporter because targeting women is second nature to him. We'll break down this entire disaster, but before we do, please consider leaving a like on this video. And if you enjoy the channel and haven't yet subscribed, hitting that subscribe button really helps support our work. Now, before we get into the moment Trump essentially forgot reality, let's start with the announcement he was so eager to make. One of the only things still rattling around in his deteriorating mind: tariffs. And even that didn't go very well.
I'm excited to announce this afternoon that the United States will be taking a small portion of the hundreds of billions of dollars we receive in tariffs. We are making a lot of money from countries that took advantage of us for years. They took advantage of us like nobody's ever seen. Our deficits are way down because of tariffs. I guess because of the election, because without the election you wouldn't have tariffs. You'd be sitting here losing your shirt. But we're taking in billions. We're really taking in trillions of dollars, if you think about it, Scott, because the real number is, you know, when you think of all the money being poured into the country for new auto plants and all of the other things, AI. So what we're doing is we're taking a relatively small portion of that, and we're going to be giving and providing it to the farmers in economic assistance. And we love our farmers, and as you know, the farmers like me, because you know, based on voting trends, you could call it voting trends or anything else, but they're great people. They're the backbone of our country. So we're going to use that money to provide $12 billion in economic assistance to American farmers. $12 billion is a lot of money, Meryl. What do you think? Peanuts for you, though, right? Peanuts. She's a farmer of rice. This relief will provide much-needed certainty to farmers as they get this year's harvest to market and look ahead to next year's crops, and it'll help them continue their efforts to lower food prices for American families.
So now, Trump is openly admitting that farmers need a bailout. And remember, these are the bootstrap people, the Republican Party's poster children for personal responsibility. I get that it's hard for farmers to shoulder that burden when Donald Trump's policies are actively wrecking their livelihoods, but many of them voted for the guy who tanked the economy, slapped huge tariffs on everything, and ultimately hurt them the most. There's some accountability that has to be acknowledged there. And yes, these farmers do need financial relief, but they certainly don't want to be in that position. Trump is widening the divide inside the GOP and across his own base. Most farmers would much rather sell their soybeans freely than rely on a one-time bailout from Trump that will leave them stranded later while Republicans keep making empty promises. But this is the deal they signed up for. Trump is now admitting that his tariffs are harming people, a reality he can't escape anymore, whether he likes it or not. And he clearly recognizes at least part of it. Because when he was pressed about a report saying 20 Republicans are expected to retire and that the midterms could be a bloodbath, his reaction was not reassuring.
Midterms, and I just have a quick question. There's at least 20 House Republicans who have either said they're going to retire or not run again. Do you have any
Democrats
concerns
also.
about the
And Democrats
Right.
also.
Do you have any?
Well, why don't you mention them? How many Democrats are going to retire? How many Democrats?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
But why don't you tell me the number of Democrats too? You tell me about.
Are you concerned about the narrow margins? And
no, I'm not concerned. I think we're going to do well.
Among them, and
we will have the greatest economy.
Blakeman, who you know as well, is considering running for
governor.
governor.
We're going to have the greatest economy in history. How many Democrats are retiring? How come you only know the Republicans but not the Democrats?
Because I came prepared to ask you a question about...
No, you're unprepared because you should know the Democrats. You're totally unprepared. Go ahead.
Well, can I ask a quick follow-up about...
Who are you with?
I'm with New York Newsday, and I also have a quick follow-up.
Why don't we know which Democrats are planning to retire? Maybe because they haven't decided yet. If I were a Democrat facing a potentially tough race, or even unsure about running, I'd wait it out too. I mean, if I'm a Democrat, I'm hanging on until May. Who knows? Maybe Hakeem Jeffries becomes Speaker. A million things can change between now and the midterms. So, of course, no one knows how many Democrats will step down. And honestly, I wouldn't want to be a Democrat retiring right now anyway. This is the best moment to be a Democrat. Our party grows more unified every day, while Donald Trump continues to unravel politically and mentally. Just look at these clips. One from last week, one from today. Midas Touch put them side by side, showing Trump completely forgetting what he said about Pete Hegseth.
Mr. President, you said you would have no problem with releasing the full video of that strike on September 2nd off the coast of Venezuela. Secretary Hegseth now says...
You said that. I didn't say that. This is ABC fake news.
Mr. President, you released video of that first boat strike on September 2nd, but not the second video. Will you release video of that strike so that the American people can see for themselves what happened?
I don't know what they have, but whatever they have, we'd certainly release. No problem.
You said that you would have no problem releasing the full video. Are you committed to releasing the full video?
Didn't I just tell you that?
You said that it was up to Secretary
You're the most
Hegseth.
obnoxious reporter in the whole place. Let me just tell you, you are an obnoxious, actually a terrible reporter. And it's always the same thing with you. I told you, whatever Pete Hegseth wants to do is okay with me.
Oh my God, the most obnoxious reporter. Or maybe she's simply doing her job and you're the one acting out. Ever think of that, Donald? I know you haven't, but that's far more believable. He completely blanked. You're the president, the one person who could authorize that video being released. Sure, Pete Hegseth could theoretically do it, but he never would. So did Trump genuinely forget? Did he not realize what he was saying? What's wild is that Trump's outrage at the media is basically him saying, if I lie and you report what I claimed I'd do, it's your fault for not knowing I was lying. That's the logic. When he makes a promise he has no intention of keeping and journalists report it, he blames them because obviously he was going to break it. Trump wants the media to always assume he will screw something up. And honestly, he probably will. But this is just more of what we've already seen. Trump's ongoing war on the press, his attempt to convince people that journalists are the enemy of the state, when it's Trump and Pete Hegseth engaging in illegal conduct. And it's important to highlight what happened afterward. A week after that double tap strike, a week after those unlawful orders, after Pete Hegseth committed murder, he suddenly pushed for new rules at the Pentagon. Rules letting him handpick who could report, rules so restrictive that even Fox News said this goes too far. Hegseth wanted reporters only asking pre-approved questions, being escorted like children. And why? Because Trump and Hegseth care less about truth and more about controlling public perception. That's why right-wing media creates a propaganda bubble for MAGA. Trump wants an environment where he can lie freely. So Hegseth tried manufacturing a narrative that every Pentagon leak, war plans, intel, anything, was the media's fault. He wanted people to believe journalists were endangering troops. Total nonsense. The media wasn't leaking classified info. Hegseth was. Remember when the Atlantic's editor-in-chief refused to release texts between Hegseth, J.D. Vance, Tulsi Gabbard, and Kash Patel because he didn't know how sensitive the information was? He didn't want to put anyone at risk. That tells you everything. The media wasn't the problem. But Hegseth and Trump want the public to believe reporters are the threat. They want us to feel like speaking out is dangerous. Well, I'm not going to stay silent. And I know someone else who won't either. I'm actually meeting with Senator Mark Kelly in a couple of hours, and you need to hear everything he said.
The administration wants to silence you, and you're not going to be silenced?
Well, they're clearly in violation of my First Amendment rights. I said something, that was lawful. It was pretty simple. It was a message that I felt members of the military at this time, when you consider who this president is and who the Secretary of Defense is, they needed to hear, this pretty basic message. And there wasn't anything wrong with it. I didn't expect this response from the president. But he's trying to silence me, but he's not silencing me. I'm still speaking out. I still am going to do my job every single day, regardless of whether this president wants to kill me, hang me, execute me, or shut me up. I'm not going to shut up. Litigation, coming from me, it's not like in my nature, to do that. I'm going to respond. I've got, a legal team that will respond to whether it's DOD or DOJ forcefully, because they're in the wrong here. And I think people know it. And it's kind of a ridiculous proposition that because of something I said, they want to either kill me or now prosecute me under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It's ridiculous.
And I want to get back to the strike again quickly. It seemed last week, on the heels of this Washington Post double tap report, that there was a groundswell, an uprising from Republicans who were just as angry as Democrats over what they had read. That seems to have died down a little in the wake of the briefing of Republican leadership officials who spoke with Admiral Bradley, who came out of that briefing and had positive things to say about his decision-making process. When you have spoken with your Republican colleagues, what sense are you getting from them? Does it align with what they're publicly saying at this point?
Well, maybe you're hearing from different folks publicly than the individuals that I've spoken to. I've spoken to Republican colleagues that still have serious concerns about how this strike was conducted and whether or not it was lawful.
That is what real courage looks like. And it's exactly what everyone in our government should be modeling. We've been incredibly fortunate that Mark Kelly has not only fearlessly stood up to Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth, but has also made it clear that doing the right thing isn't actually that hard. I don't want to diminish what Mark Kelly has accomplished. He's facing threats and attacks head on. But he's showing that standing up to Trump is really just the right thing to do, plain and simple. He's challenging business leaders, institutional heads, and media figures. Do your job. Stand up to Trump. Have a backbone. That's what we need. And it's inspiring to see Mark Kelly doing it. I'm excited to talk to him tonight. If you want to support the work we're doing to hold Trump accountable and see that conversation, you can hit the subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stayed until the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.